this is gonna be a fun video, and let me clarify, this is just for fun. These are not my actual picks. I talked a little bit about some of my actual picks in this video up here where I talked about barbell spins, top 25, which I was a part of. So this is not actually like who, gun to my head, I would pick to win the games. But these are my fun picks, things I think could happen, probably won't, but if it did, I wouldn't be totally shocked. So I'm calling them my sort of outrageous picks, unexpected picks, because these are kind of the more fun picks. The predictable ones, I mean, for the sake of people playing the Heat 1 app, the new app for people to sort of play fantasy CrossFit, the actual picks, the predictable picks are the better picks to go with. But this is for fun and something that I could see happening, but unlikely. So let's get into it. So first, I have Thorisdottir and Jeff Adler winning the CrossFit Games. Could I see Annie winning the CrossFit Games? Yeah, I could. And it would be incredible because she's come back from so much. She got her first muscle up back in Aromas in like 2009. She's been competing since 2009 at the CrossFit Games. Then she won the games twice in 2011 and 2012. After that, she had a back injury, but then made it back to the games, made it back on the podium. Then she had a baby and I believe a pretty traumatic birth, and then she made it back to the games and back on the podium in 2021. She went team last year and that didn't go quite as well as she hoped it would go. And now she's back as an individual this year. She's admitted she's kind of shocked by how well she's done over the years.
I honestly don't understand how I'm still here. I thought I could do this sport for like 3-4 years, and I always do it 1 year at a time, and somehow I'm still here, and sometimes I'm like, how?
I think that she could win the games. I think that she's the athlete we've seen compete in the most games as an individual. She's completed over 3 decades now. The zeros, 2009, that's in the O's, the 10s, and now in the 20s. So I am excited to see her back on the stage as an individual and truly believe she could be on the podium. So once these are my outrageous picks, my actual picks for the women's podium is Laura Horvath to win, Thorisdottir in second, and third I have Danielle Brandon, although I will admit I went back and forth between Danielle Brandon and Gabby Magala. So those are my top 3, 4-ish. I don't have Annie winning in that one, but I could see it, and I kind of want to see it. Like if it happens, I'll be thrilled. So I'm picking it as like my out there pick. For the men, Jeff Adler. Now people have gotten on me for not giving Jeff Adler enough credit, and you know, you convinced me. Jeff's doing great this year. He looked great at his semifinals. He's done well the last couple years at the games, and I've heard he's better than he's ever been before. So, and that sort of showed at semifinals. He was in one of the most competitive semifinals for the men, North America East, and looked great all weekend. So maybe this is his time. Maybe this is his opportunity. And Justin Medeiros didn't look great at semis. You just have to make the games. And to go back to my actual picks for the podium, I have Justin Medeiros three-peating, Pat Vellner, and then Jeff Adler. So I'm gonna pick Jeff Adler as my outrageous pick, but I also thought about picking Pat. I would love to see Patrick Vellner win the games. Every interaction I've had with him has just been so nice. I've had to grab him for interviews as a volunteer. I've had to tell him that they don't want the interview anymore as a volunteer, and he was like super cool about it. So Pat, I love Pat, and I would really like to see Pat win the games, but I'm gonna go with Jeff as my, you know, surprise pick. So another outrageous prediction, and that is Danielle Brandon doesn't improve this year. So last year she finished in 4th. The year before that she was in 11th. 2020, the online version, I believe she was in 15th. And in 2019, during that crazy year with all the national champions, she was cut. So she's improved every year that she's been at the games. Last year was 4th, right outside of the podium. It's easy to put her on the podium. For my actual picks, I did. The reason I'm picking her in this outrageous format to not make the podium is because we've seen her improve and make her biggest moves during times in her life where there's a lot of chaos and change, and she seems to do well in the face of adversity. This year for her seems to have been her most even-keeled year yet. So back in 2021, when she finished 11th, she was with Cary and Bethany Shadburn, or Bethany Flores now. When she was traveling to the games, they were in the same car together. Bethany Flores and Cary tested positive for COVID-19. Danielle Brandon did not. They let her compete. She had to compete in her own lane, far away from the rest of the athletes, and she ended up sort of flourishing in that position of being like outcasted, and became a crowd favorite and had her best finish to that point at the games. And then last year, she parted ways with her coach, Justin Kotler from Underdogs, in between semifinals and the games, was sort of doing some different stuff, started kind of working with her coach now, but wasn't officially with them, was just kind of doing some of her own stuff. So she did really well under those circumstances where she didn't have a real coach and she didn't have a solid training environment, and she went to the games and showed up and finished 4th. This year, she's just doing her thing and not really making any waves, or there's not really much news about what's going on with her. And some people just tend to do well when the pressure is on, when things aren't going well. And she definitely does do well when things aren't going according to plan. I wonder if she'll do as well when they do. So I do have her on my podium in my real picks, but in this format of picking some more crazy things, I'm going to say that she slides down the leaderboard a little bit from her position last year. On the men's side, sort of similar to my last Danielle Brandon prediction, this one is particularly crazy. And again, I have Justin Medeiros winning the games, but in my alternate universe here, I'm going to say that he doesn't make the podium. He didn't make the podium at semifinals, and that's a smaller field, so it is realistic. He looked vulnerable at semifinals. He was vulnerable at semifinals. He didn't win. He didn't make the podium. He qualified, because all you have to do is qualify, but he didn't do as well as we're used to seeing him doing. And he talked to us a little bit about that and having to deal with that, but I wouldn't be totally surprised to see him not win and possibly not make the podium. Would be a shock though, because he's made the podium every year he's competed at the games. So it is, like I said, a crazy pick, but for the reasons I just explained, him not looking as good at semis and the rest of the field, like people like Jeff Adler, people like Pat Vellner, who beat him at semis, at his semi, looking so good, I could see it happening. Another pick that I don't actually think is super crazy, I just don't have it on my actual picks, is Emma Cary in her first year back at the games after a major injury, only her second year ever at the games, and only being 19 years old, I believe, makes the podium. We had Mal O'Brien at 18 years old make the podium last year. If Mal was competing this weekend, I think we all would have picked her to win the games. I know I would have picked her to win the games, but she's not going to be there. So I think Emma Cary, as another very young freak athlete, could make the podium in her second year, which also is what Mal did. It was her second year that she made the podium at 18. I think Emma Cary could possibly do it this year at 19, but also her second season at the games as an individual. And after coming off a pretty big injury. Emma Lawson, though, is also someone to keep your eye on. I don't have her on my podium, but maybe. But she, kind of like Justin Medeiros, is someone who didn't look quite as good at their semis as I would have thought they would. And last kind of crazy prediction is CrossFit Franco's Misfits wins the CrossFit Games on the team side. So they looked great at semis. They did win in a three-way tie at the North America West semis with CrossFit Invictus and CrossFit Omnia, who are also two other great teams who have a lot of history at the games. But I think CrossFit Franco's Misfits are these underdogs that could very well surprise everyone. Now, I didn't actually pick for the team side of things. If you asked me to, in first place, I would put CrossFit East Nashville Proven. They have a team that has individual athletes on it. Tola, who's done a lot of team stuff. The two women from last year's winning Mayhem team. It's a pretty obvious pick to pick Proven as your top team. Although they don't all always work out together, so they may have some holes that we didn't see as much with the Mayhem teams. I think they worked out a little bit more with each other when they were on a team with Rich. Rich is gone, Rich is retired. I'm pretty confident in saying that we won't see Mayhem Independence on the podium. I think they'll be in the top 10. I just don't really think they're gonna be the podium team this year. But I think that Proven, pretty obvious pick for first. Second, I think Invictus is the most obvious pick, even though technically Franco's Misfits beat them, but they were tied. Went down to a tiebreaker. And then in third, I would probably pick between No Shortcuts CrossFit and Navy Oslo Blue, who was on the podium last year. So that would be my top if I was picking this based on who I truly think is the most likely to win. But I am picking this video based on things that I think that can happen that would be surprises. So my surprise winner would be CrossFit Franco's Misfits. I think that they've got a good team together. They work well together. They seem to work out together a lot. And I think they like being the underdogs. And I think that makes a difference too. If you like that position, you can really flourish there. And that's what they are. But I think they have the capacity to be the top dog. We'll see. So those are my crazy predictions. The games are underway right now. We have all of the age group and adaptive athletes going. Individuals and teams get underway on Thursday, so a lot of fun stuff to come. I am going to be going to the games. I will be making a vlog every day, at least that is the plan. So I'll get there Thursday. First vlog will probably go out on Friday morning. So make sure you subscribe and look out for that. If you like this video, like it. I also want to hear some of your crazy predictions. You can give me your actual predictions too in the comments below, but I kind of want to hear the things that you think could happen but probably won't, but could, you know? Those are fun things to talk about, the surprises, the underdogs. So that's what we're talking about in this video. If you have some ideas about who you think, who could make some surprise waves, put them in the comments below. I appreciate you all for watching. You guys have all been super supportive over the last couple videos I've made, and I really appreciate you all. So thanks for being here. See you in the next one. Bye.